raised by my grandparents. I don't recall living with my parents. I remember from 4 years old, my grandmother had another child after I was born, and that is my earliest remembrance when we were raised up on a farm. We raised things like people do: cows, pigs, cotton, and peas, everything that most people raise on a farm. And we had garden with everything. And we had gardens for summer and winter. We mostly ate what we raised on the farm. We had cows, we had buttermilk, chickens, eggs. They kill hogs, meat. We survived on what we raised, but we were living on someone else's property until I was around 13 years old. And that is one of the reasons we moved from one place to the other, from one house to the other on somebody else's property, because his living was done on sharecropping, and that means you work the soil and somebody else gets half of what you make on the property. You don't own it. And that is the way that we survived. My grandfather was part African, part Choctaw Indian. My grandmother was African and white, and they raised me on this farm. I remember working in the field and having chores to do, but we had fun also. We made up games. We made toys out of different things. And the funny thing is, my grandfather and grandmother, they tried to help make toys for us out of things that we had on the farm. I can remember them cutting a tree down and making little wagon wheels. And my grandmother would take some of the thread. She didn't have yarn like a lot of people now, but she had, we would rip the thread out of feed sacks and make dolls. And she would use the thread that she got from the sacks that she ripped open. And we had dolls, so we thought we had everything. We had a good time, even though we worked and everything, but everybody else did too, so we didn't think we were different from anyone else. If it was close to a holiday, we didn't have turkeys and things like that. We had lots of chickens, and what they would do, they would put a rooster, save a rooster, and put them in a chicken coop and fatten them for holidays, and that's what we would have, and that's why they would have bought feed. They could buy a couple of bags of feed, and that would fatten up the rooster or fatten whatever animal up they were using for the holiday. And you saved everything. You saved the feed sack, you saved the thread. You didn't throw away anything. My grandfather was a sharecropper, and what sharecropping is where the black person was working the soil and the white people owned their property, and they were raising their crops, and most of the crops were cotton that was sharecropped. My grandfather bought half of the fertilizer, and he was supposed to get half of the income from the cotton. And sometimes that worked, and sometimes the white person ended up with all of the money, because sometimes my grandfather borrowed money. Other times he thinks maybe that he was cheated, but he couldn't say so because it would not have been accepted well if he had questioned what was going on. He very seldom knew how to put things on paper, but he knew how to work things out in his head. But beside farming, when school was started, we were not kept out of school for to work on the farm because insisted that we were going to get an education. So at 5 years old, I started school in the church where we went on Sunday. We walked about 4.5 miles to church school one way, and the church school lasted to 6th grade. There was one teacher with 6 classes. She taught geography, spelling, reading, and English. And when she was teaching, she didn't have to worry about the other parts of the class acting up because it just was not done. I have this cotton plant here. This is the kind of cotton that we picked on that farm when we were sharecropping. And you saw this here. We would take it between our fingers like this and pull it out, and you tried to just pull on the cotton, because if you touch these brown things, these are the bolls that has dried up, they would mess up your fingers, the cuticles on your fingers. Sometimes you ended up with the cuticles on all of your fingers just standing out sore because these things had touched your fingers. But this is it. This is what we did all day. Stop for lunch, go home, eat, come back, start back picking and pick until almost sundown. That was the way we did it. You can imagine how long it took somebody to make 200 or 300 pounds, and a lot of people did in one day with this. I didn't make 200, 300 pounds. I did 121 pounds one time, and I thought I had done great. So when I got paid, this was in somebody else's field, not my grandfather's field. I took my money from my 121 pounds and bought fabric, made a skirt. That was what I did. I made a broomstick skirt out of my. I bought 5 yards of I bought 5 yards of cloth and put it all in my one skirt because the cloth was only 36 inch. But 121, we were not working for my grandfather on the place where we lived at that time. We had caught up with our work, and a lot of people's cotton was still in the field, so they would hire other people to work. So if we caught up really good and there wasn't enough open to keep picking on our field, we could go pick for somebody else, and if we made money, Grandpa, that was our money, he didn't take it. And I remember I took my whole, I don't remember what I got paid, but I took my money and went bought 5 yards of cloth. And I made a broomstick skirt with a border around it. And I thought I was hot stuff. That was the only time I got over 100 pounds. But I couldn't understand how I could do a roll with everybody else and I end up with less cotton. I never understand that. But a lot of people, they did 2 rolls. Most people who were working for money did. But I didn't, I just did one. But they would be on their knees, they would make knee pads, and they'd do 2 rolls at a time. Those were the big pickers. They made good money. They could picking up cotton. But that day that I got the 121 pounds, it was not in our field, but I was glad I got that so I could get paid. I got about 9 years old. Someone gave my grandmother a child, so I didn't have to work in the field as much when I was around 9 and 10 because I had to see after the baby because my grandmother said that the baby was sick and she could do more work in the field than I did. So at 9, I was cooking, and making dinner and seeing after the baby. But one of the things that we did, we walked that 4.5 miles, but there was a shorter way. And when I was around 9 or 10, my grandmother and grandfather, they would send me to the store for small items because they said I could go quicker than anyone else. Because there was a way to go to the store better with a shorter distance if you went between the woods. But I was afraid when I would get in the woods, and I would run all the way to the store and all the way back because I was afraid in the woods. Somebody had told us there was a panther out there. We didn't know what a panther was, but it was, whatever it was, we didn't want to be out there with it. And my grandmother often said I started running before she completely gave me the order what she wanted. Mm-hmm. When I was going through the woods to the store, you would first have to go to a cow pasture. And there were cows that sometimes would run after you. And not only was I afraid of what they were saying about a panther, I was afraid of the cows because cows would run after you, and I was really afraid, and I'd just be running. And then you would end up on the other side with a little part of the woods because cow pastures was pretty clean, not many trees. You get this small wood area before you make the road. And I also remember a lot of times I wouldn't have on shoes, but my hair would be combed. I'd have on a clean dress. We would go into the store. She always impressed on us to wear clean clothes and have your hair combed. Don't be going out there looking all kind of ways. So we always, when we were going to the store, wherever we went, you had your hair combed, a clean dress. And that was one of the things that they always impressed on us, was to be clean and neat when we left the house. My grandfather didn't keep us out of school to work in the fields. He always saw that we were going to school. But there were other children in my class who didn't get a chance to go to school unless the weather was raining or too cold to go to the fields. They had to go to the field, which kept them behind in school. And it ended up with girls and boys, 15 and 16 years old, in my 11-year-old class of the 6th grade. We're living on these farms like we were. No blacks in our community at that time actually owned their own property. So everybody was on sharecrop until the crops got in the position that they did not have to work. Now in July, usually they did what you call laying back crops. So they had the freedom from July usually till around August. And that time the cotton would start opening, the peas would start getting ripe. And if it rained, they could come to school, but if the weather was good, they had to work and get their cotton out of the fields, and so they could get it to the cotton gins. But my grandfather, he never kept us out of school. From the time school started, usually the school started in October, and it ended in April at that time. So we were not kept out of school on weekends. On Friday evening and Saturday, we would have to chop cotton or do whatever, but we never had to stay out just because there was work to do. At the point that I was going to the church school, those girls or boys whose parents kept them out unless the weather was bad, they 15 and 16 years old, so there I was, an 11-year-old, and my classmates was 15 and 16s and actually courting. And that's where I got my information from early on, listening to them, because each class, usually the classmates stayed with their own classmates. And I was there in the middle of the group. Sometimes if it rained really hard, we just could not go to school. When I got 6th grade at 11 years old, I was no longer able to stay at home and go to school because there was no black school in our area, and there was not a bus to come close to our house. And that meant that I had to leave home to try to get an education. And that was not something that I wanted to do, but my grandfather insisted that we get an education, and at that point I had to leave the house and go to another city to where they had elementary schools, because 7th grade was not middle school at that time. It was still elementary school, but even though we were in a segregated school, the county health department came into the school once a year, and they gave us vaccinations. And when we were going to the church school, we had to really walk about 4.5 miles each way. And there were times the white kids were riding a bus, even though their school was closer. And one time, they decided they would put rocks on the bus to throw at us, and we would be jumping all in ditches and things to get away from the rocks. And at one point, we decided we would throw rocks back, and at that point, they reported us, and my grandfather was called in and told that we had to stop. Nobody had said that the people on the bus had been throwing rocks at us. But anyway, we had to stop because my grandfather was one of those people who they came to when there was a problem. Of course, we were chastised and didn't throw any more rocks. We didn't think it was right, but that's what happened. Even though my grandfather told us not to throw rocks anymore, he understood. He knew what was happening because He knew the situation at the time, but we didn't get in real trouble. He was well thought of, I guess, as much as any other black person, but he was always the person that the white community went to when something was going on. Most of the young women who taught, very seldom was there a man involved in the teaching. Most of the time, the young women would make enough money, maybe work 2 years in the church school. They would have enough money to go to Alabama State, and they could get their degree in a couple of years. But some of them didn't have that kind of money, and that meant that they went to a church school the next year. Some of them went to the same church school, and some of them would be sent to another church school. But that's why the teachers changed a lot. Very seldom did you see the same teacher at the church school, because sometimes I guess they had a choice, I don't know, but you didn't see the same teachers too much unless they were older teachers. And if they were older teachers, some of them already had their degree, but they didn't get assigned a lot to the other schools. So they would just come, and maybe they would be there 2 years maybe, but most of the time it was only 1 year that you saw the same teacher. It was kind of difficult for the young teachers to come to those church schools, because very seldom, I don't recall anyone having a car when I was going. I think after I left, I recall there being a car, but the teachers didn't have cars because they were just getting started, and they had to walk to school too. They didn't have to walk as far as we did, because we didn't have a PT teacher, but the people who were able to allow the teacher to stay with them, she had walked there too. So it was kind of rough on teachers at that time too. In the church schools, the young people who came to those schools only had a high school education, but they were required to work on their BS degree each summer in whatever college that they wanted to attend for 6 weeks each summer until they had earned that degree. But there was one older lady who continued to work in the church schools, and I don't know whether it was her fact that she wanted to stay close to home or what it was, but I'm sure she was well educated, because she would have had to continue to work until she got her degree. One thing I tell them to continue to demonstrate and also continue to speak out.
And are you seeing history repeat itself?
I am, and it bothers me a lot.
How did the civil rights movement affect you?
Well, the civil rights affected me. It gave us hope after listening to the speeches and things like that, because we did not vote until after the civil rights movement, and it gave us hope that maybe we had something to say.
How old were you when you were allowed to vote?
You know, I don't exactly know. I just know I was early 30s. Early 30s.
You were in your early 30s before you were allowed
That's
to vote.
right. That's
right. Was it hard for you to vote?
Yes, it was hard to vote. You had to wait until somebody decided that they would not mailing in things in. So you just stood there until somebody decided to come and let you vote. It was in a small town, so there was not, a lot of people lined up. But if you went in there and it was one or two people, then you may be in there about 45 minutes before someone decided to come and register you.
It was even hard for you to get registered in order to vote.
That's right. You had a time period, and it's not like everybody went in at the same time. Got a line of people, but you could walk in there and nobody else was there. You stood there until somebody decided to come and let you put your ballot in. But just automatically put the ballot in at somewhere. You put the ballot in somebody's hand, they put it in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You didn't get to put it in a box?
Oh, no, you put it in somebody's hand and they put it in the box.
Did they see it? Did they get to read it?
No, no,
It was
not with us looking, they didn't. You didn't get to just walk in and drop your ballot in the box. You had to wait until someone decided to take it.
So even though there weren't any lines, they might not take it right away.
Well, maybe they were talking to each other or something, so they continued to talk, and you stood there until they decided to stop talking.
You were telling me the other day about the process, the gerrymandering.
Yeah. That was in Tuskegee. Let's see. I know I was around 26 years old.
Okay.
I don't remember the year. But the city, we wanted to vote in the city election. At that time, we had got where we could vote in the national, but we could not vote in the city election. And then it's a college town, Tuskegee was a college town, a lot of the young people had started complaining, and also, they were not from there, they came from out of state to Tuskegee College, and they started complaining, and truthfully, the students started it in that particular city. Yeah, they wanted to vote in the city election because we outnumbered the whites 4-1 because there wasn't that many white people living there, but the college had lots of students.
Okay.
And when they started that, the senator gerrymandered the city to where we only had 2 black families. The city limits, so that put down the voting thing, but when they did do that, we boycotted the city.
Okay, so you boycotted, okay.
Yeah, well, that made it hard because we had to go out of town to buy groceries and stuff.
Sure, but how long did the boycott go on?
16 months.
Oh, wow. That was a long boycott.
Yeah, it was long.
And did it work?
It worked. Without any notice, the next thing we know, it was back like it had been. Well, the people who had nice businesses in Tuskegee, their families over the years had made a living off of the black people because there were so many of them in the shop. And when we got put out, nobody was shopping at those stores. So I don't know who they went to, but the senator removed the gerrymandering thing and they put it back like it was. And the only thing we went to shop town for was you paid your utilities at the bank. I think maybe people still went to the bank. I don't know. I didn't have money to go to the bank. So, but we paid utilities at the bank, so that stayed open. But when we were boycotting the stores in Tuskegee during the time that we were gerrymandered out of the city limits, we had meetings at the church in Tuskegee. And there was one person reported that there was an African-American man with a truck who parked in the back of Taylor's grocery store, was getting grocery. And when he came to the meeting, and when the church had meetings we learned that this person had been going into this white store buying grocery at night, and he was feeling pretty bad because everybody held him responsible because he had a pretty top-side job there at the VA hospital. But so he was shamed, and nobody really bothered him because they didn't need to. He knew what he had done. It was rough because I didn't have a car. But people were pretty nice. You know, if you caught them, they found out you really wanted to go, someone would let you know.
Okay. What year was the boycott?
I can only tell you it was between 1957 and 59, because well, most of the other places was little farm towns around, you know, Montgomery and places like that. They would be cities, but most of the little towns, or little cities, what you want to call, they were still farming communities. They had what you call county seats, and some of them, you know, they did the same thing we did in Tuskegee, but some of them, little place there, and they didn't bother to, you know, try to get the vote. Where I actually grew up, as I tell you, I went to Tuskegee because I had got to the 7th grade and couldn't go in the church. So the people right there at that place, I don't know when they actually started voting. All didn't start at the same time. They had voting at the county seat, but then you had, you know, so many miles from one farm to the other until I doubt if my grandparents actually voted, because they were living way back until after the Vietnam War, and that's when we got them to move because they were so isolated and stuff started happening to people, you know, when they were found older people out way away from everybody else.
The darkest place, Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze, it's a good world. This is the hour, the darkest place, Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze, it's a good world. Good world gone bad, where we stumble around trying to find or be found in a good world gone bad. A turn on the news, a sad state of affairs. Half the people dying while the rest of us are split in halves. It's a good world gone bad. Believe what I say, we're all gonna pay for a good world gone bad.
How are you seeing history repeat
The,
itself?
well, when I start seeing these people not being able to speak up, you know, that was the one thing we could do after the civil rights. You could speak up if you disliked something and if you thought you had something to say, but now I would just tell them to get an education, and I would tell them to to still try to talk. I know it's dangerous now. You got to do something. You can't just sit there and wait and all your rights being taken away. So I would tell them continue to speak up. Somebody will listen maybe eventually. It seems as if it wasn't as dangerous as it is now. I guess one thing is we had been in that position so long until it was like it was natural. But like now, I don't know, even the president, they pretended that they would do it. This man doesn't even pretend that, you just call people names, do all that stuff.
So you see a difference between the way past presidents acted, even before the civil rights?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, even like the civil rights.
This is the hour, the darkest place. Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world.
You had, I think George Wallace was probably the most outspoken one, and I'm saying that even he was when the thing went down. I guess after he got shot, he's stopped being so thing. But then his wife got to be governor, and she was completely different from what he was. She just did everything, I would say, right, the things that Alabama needed. She really did. She gave money to the schools, to the colleges. She did everything right. I don't know, I was wondering, I know he was, couldn't walk and stuff, but I was wondering if she discussed stuff with him, or she just did what she did. All the people that I know in Alabama loved Mrs. Wallace just about as much as they hated her husband.
Wow.
Yeah, they did. I know when I was in Cleveland when she got elected, and all of my friends was telling me that they went to Montgomery to vote for her for president, governor, because she had opened up so much and everything. I said I couldn't believe it, but I guess she did what she felt was right to do. Yeah, but they really, my aunts was talking about they went to Montgomery to vote for her.
That's right, because you moved from Alabama to Cleveland.
I moved from Alabama to Cleveland, and I stayed in Cleveland for 10 years. And I got a divorce when I was moving back to Alabama. I did good in Cleveland except in the VA. When I had worked in the VA in Tuskegee, so when I went to Cleveland, I was working at the VA. But I got pissed with my boss. The civil rights things were really going, and they were having riots there too. And but what happened, I worked in food service. The young man was washing dishes, had just got married, he had just got hired, and he cut his hands really bad on something, a glass or something back there. And he had just got hired. He hadn't been there long enough to be regular. So what happened, we took turns, those of us who worked in the food service, we took turns washing dishes because we didn't want them to hire anybody else because he had just married. So we would do our work and we would go do his. So then our boss told us, well, if y'all can do this for 2-3 days, y'all can do it all the time. And I just told him, I said, that's not my job description. Well, you better be glad you got a child. I left. I didn't go back to VA no more. Well, and see, also to see civil rights thing was going and they was having, and my mind thing was I wasn't going to hear anything like that, you know. So I left, and just about the time I left, the better department stores had started hiring like cashiers. So I went down there and I got a job and I worked there about 7 years. That we had to wear high heel shoes. We could not wear anything but brown, black, gray. Brown, black, gray. No stripes, no check, no flowers. No, had to wear heels, no loafers. And I did well for it, but in 1967, cashiers, the white little cashiers that was working at, and I got ready to go in the building, they had on their little hats and little white gloves, and I said, oh God, we're gonna have to do this. But they were mostly had been there for years, and they were older people. So I didn't go to work with my hat and my gloves on, but I did wear the heels. I did wear the solid colors that they wanted us to wear. But in 1967, the people who was the buyers told them, those what they called them ice cream colors started coming in. They told them, if you want to sell high fashion, you got to let these people work here, sell high fashion, wear high fashion. So we got to wear what they call the sherbet colors, green and pink and flowers and everything, because they would want to sell that. Styles was changing. It was Higbee's department store in Cleveland. They just started integrating the salespeople, so there were two of us, me and one other girl was hired to work in the Higbee's. I worked at Higbee's until I got ready to leave Cleveland because I was getting a divorce, moved back to Alabama. But I had it good there. I had a good buyer. We got into it one time when the people had started rioting really a lot. Cleveland downtown Higbee's was joining the train station, what they call it, it's a big train where the train used to come in, but it was right next door to Higbee's, but somehow there was a stair that went from inside of Higbee's into the building at the railroad station. You didn't go outside, you went down some steps into the, I said railroad, what do they call it downtown Cleveland? I forgot, it was just down there. It's one of the things that Cleveland was known for, next to their square. And they told us if the rioters came into the store that we were supposed to lock the register and take the people out through there. There was a side door, I didn't even know what it was for, but it was locked all the time. They told us to go through there and go down into the railroad thing. And I was mad because when we had to go to talk to our boss, all of us went together. And that day, they called the other three and they didn't call me. I went in separate. And I was pissed because I said, they told them something different. So when he told us what we were supposed to do, he told all of us sitting there what we were supposed to do, if the rioters came into the store, that we would take to the customer and we could go out. So
so you went in and you talked to management because he separated you by color.
Yeah, that's the first time they had done that.
Okay, and they separated you, and then you went and complained, and they changed it.
I didn't know. No, I told him no. He was trying to get me, but he told me what he told. See, he didn't tell them what he told me, and I knew it. But What the one thing he did tell all of us was how to get the customers out. We could get out if the rioters came into the store, that we were supposed to lock the register and leave and take the customer. But I was mad. I said, he told us something different from me. So when he was telling us this, I said, you don't have to worry about me. I said, because when the rioters come in, I'm going out with them. He didn't say nothing to me, but there was an intern in there, a young guy, young white guy. He said, I'm going out with Miss Randall. And Mr. Worth got on him. But then he asked me after that, were you playing? I said, no. But you know, he was nice to me because when I got ready to leave, he thought I was leaving. He had left the department and went in the jewelry department. And I had a German lady was my boss. And one day in the stock room, some guy was standing there. Okay, you got a stock room, you got a door, one way in. And when I opened the door to go in the stock room, there's this black guy standing there with this woman's purse. No, he had my purse in his hand, but he had been in the other lady's purses and threw them down on the floor. And I just backed out. I was going to go in there, and I didn't say anything. I backed out away from the door, and he just came swaggering out. He dropped my purse. I didn't have but $5 in it. But the other ladies usually had a lot of money. They were older ladies. They had been working there for years, but they usually had, more money. I still didn't have much money. I had less than $5. And I backed out and I let him get to the elevator, and I started saying, hey. He's on the elevator. Okay, Mr. Worth had left the department. He gone to the jewelry department. And here come my boss at that time was a German lady, and she started fussing me. You should have kicked him in his balls. You should have done this. And I'm looking at her. This man's on the way out. I don't know what he has in his pocket, and I let him go. See, there wasn't but one way in that room and one way out, and I don't know what he's got, because when I said, you got my purse. And he said, so what? And I'm saying that I don't know what he's got. I don't know anything. I backed out to the side and I didn't say a word till he got on the elevator going down. And she just started. So when I left, Mr. Worth thought that I was leaving because of her. And he said, I'll find you something to do in the jewelry department. But one thing about it, every job I had, I worked well. I obeyed the rules, and that's just the way I am. I didn't take mess. I didn't do mess. I worked. Anything I have to do, I'll obey the rules. Just like say at this apartment building, I will obey the rules, but I'm not gonna let nobody run over me. And that's just the way. But that's what I did in every job. I believed in obeying the rules. That was one thing my grandfather did. And one thing now that bothers me, we were raised to obey the laws and stuff like that. And I thought the Supreme Court, if they made a decision that they was going to be right regardless, that I would argue you down that they were right. And since they got politicized, it bothers me, because I did believe that Supreme Court was, if they said it was right. That's what we were raised. None of my grandparents' 10 children ever went to jail. They never got arrested. And I just said, we were raised to obey laws, and now laws are not. It is, and I didn't know it could be like that. I thought if they got appointed the Supreme Court, if everything else that was wrong and the Supreme Court said it was right, we're raised to obey laws. And I was saying my grandfather raised us, and not one of those 10 children ever went to jail. This really bothers me. But I don't worry as much for me as I do. I think about the children that are left in these homes. You go to school, you come back, no parent. People are going to take advantage of them.
They will.
That really bothers me.
Yeah. Talking about the detention in Florida, right?
That what do they call it? Alcatraz, alligator Alcatraz, or some kind of mess like that. Because once they get their heads in, and a lot of most of the poisonous snakes have a kind of big head, but the others, they get their head through the way they're made. They can manage to get through a small hole. They're on, and that those are not killing, they starving. I just can't believe this is America. Not the one that I know. You don't care who he messes with. He got his name on everything. Oh, goodness. He wants to put them all on the national parks. He hates Biden and Obama.
Love like ours can lead out its call.
But it was the same year, about the year after he first started pastoring in Montgomery.
After who started pastoring?
Oh, Reverend King.
Oh.
You know, he was pastoring the church in Montgomery on Dexter Avenue when they first started the civil rights thing.
And that's where everybody was getting their cars towed from that time.
That's where he went. That's where he was living when they bombed his house. He was pastoring there. No, he was preaching there. And I don't think the civil rights thing had really taken on so much. They might have been talking about it, but I don't think it took on so much until after that they bombed his house. And then that's when it just took off, got really, really popular, and more people got involved and stuff like that. But
Believe what I say. We're all gonna pay for a good world gone bad.
You said people had to walk miles not to get their cars towed.
in Tuskegee they did, because Tuskegee didn't have, Tuskegee's like a little country town. It didn't have like parking places and a lot of stores. Maybe you could use a parking lot. Tuskegee's almost just a little country town, little small one. So they didn't have, even the church wasn't close to where the stores and things was with the little towns like. So there was a dirt road that came off the highway that went to Mount Olive Church, and they could park over on the side of the road, and other cars could come and go, and they just didn't tow cars, you know. I don't even recall ever hearing of a car being towed in Tuskegee. You know, maybe later, but not back then. So when they came there, they wasn't looking for nowhere else to park. They was parking one behind the other on the side of the road. Dirt road at that. And but they were getting out walking to the from their cars to the church, and sometimes it would be a really long line of cars, but people would just it was just like excitement. It was like they were just looking forward. Everybody was just so upbeat. That's the one thing he did, regardless whatever happened. He got people interested, and they just wanted to go and see him and hear him. It really did. I don't think they ever found out who killed him. Because, Reverend Lawson was close to him, and he didn't believe that the guy that they said killed him, and he went to the jail and performed the marriage ceremony when that guy got married. They didn't believe that he did it alone, if he did.
If this is the end, promise me that it's worth it. I know it's getting late, but I wanna stay anyway. Come on, baby, lie with me till the morning.
Lot. I can't even say the number of times that she was there. You look up on television during the week, and there she was with a group of people gathered somewhere, sometimes in a ditch, sometimes other places. And she'd be doing her thing, singing the little folk songs that she did sing. And you had people like Kirk Douglas and a few other movie stars who came occasionally. I think the night King did that I Have a Dream, there were 3 movie stars in town. There was going to be trouble. So they, Sammy Davis and Harry Belafonte asked them, told them that they probably should come where they were because they had heard that there would be trouble that night. So they all stayed in the same hotel.
Time you move like water and taste like wine. You're holier than I am, holier than I am. Gentle hands, gold-lit eyes. I am a man made of borrowed time. You're holier than I am, holier than I am. I am the doubt, afraid I will let you down one day.
Jackson had a lot of charisma. He was tall, handsome, and he knew how to get people to listen. He was personable, and usually, if he needed something, all he had to do was to ask, because people liked him and they liked what he was for. He did a lot of hard work. He did a lot of dangerous work. he didn't let it stop him. He just kept on, and he started that Rainbow Push. That was his thing, and that was his big success. I saw him a lot at our church. He came to Holman United Methodist Church in California a lot because Reverend Lawson was the pastor, and he was one of the inner circle of the King group. His Rainbow Push there was very successful, and he was there often, and they worked with him, but he mostly came, I think, because of his respect for Reverend Lawson. And when he got there, he was always so friendly. When he stood at the door, when everybody was coming out of church, he had something to say to everybody. He's shaking everybody's hands, and he always had a little something to say. And that just made people feel good.
You said that Jesse Jackson a minute ago was did a lot of dangerous things. You want to tell me about that?
Well, no, nothing but the places that he went and the things that he did, that he went into. That was the only thing I knew, but he just seemed, if it was a place that he was needed, he just went. I don't know that he knew it was dangerous or whether he just had his mind on what he needed to do and decided, I'm going to do it regardless, because he had been to other countries. They said that he had walked the streets of Beirut and a lot of those countries over there, and nobody bothered him,
Did you ever get to see John Lewis, or you just heard him?
Just saw him once. He came to a thing that they gave for Reverend Lawson. John Lewis was fun. He was funny, but he also was, when he made a speech, it was all, he meant business, but it was always funny, He made himself, I think everybody loved John Lewis. But, the thing is, I really don't recall too much stuff he said. I was so carried away with his personality. We were always waiting for him to say something funny. He liked to dance. He could dance too. But most people thought he would have been a minister because his parents said they thought he would be a preacher because he used to get under their house and preach to the chickens. But he's had a call, and his parents didn't want him to go. They were really against him going. He said he had a calling to go work. So I don't know. My thing is, I guess he just depended on God to protect him, I guess. Well, in the civil rights, he didn't have an official job like Jesse. He was just there to be a person to march. He was all over everywhere. But the people from down in Alabama, they knew him. So they really didn't like him because, he didn't act like he was supposed to act when he was down in Alabama. And when the civil rights thing really started, he left there and went on and joined them. So they didn't, and he didn't act silly. What do you say when you act like you're as good as everybody else? I'm not bowing down, that he was that type. Couldn't beat him down, he jumped right up and just keep doing what he was doing. And I guess that's why, because see, he got beat up other times before that thing at the bridge where he almost got killed. But he had been beat up before. But that was just the worst beating he had. And I was always wondering after was having his head beat in like that more than one time, if it was gonna make, do something to his brain or something. But I guess his head was too hard. I don't know. But he was everywhere where there was danger, he went. That's where he went. I really liked him. Yeah, he was, what you see was what you got. Yeah, he was When I left home after the 6th grade, when I was promoted to the 7th grade, when I was 11, there was no school bus, anything for Black students at that time. So they had to send me away from home to stay with someone else. And it was a shock because I was used to outhouse and water from the well, iron heated on the stove or the fireplace, and I was not used to modern things. I think I had the print of the iron, electric iron, on everything I owned because I wasn't used to using that iron, and I had not been used to bathroom. I hadn't been used to vacuums. And everything was new to me. Also, at the school, I was always a new kid on the block. And you always have these little groups that you can't get into. So it was really kind of hard for me. There was only about 3 other girls who came from the situation like I did. And we kind of stuck together because that was our biggest thing, because there were some girls who really made fun of us because we did not know how to use a vacuum. But I was determined to get my education, and that is when I got to Chandler's Children's House. It was a school that was built, the Chandler's Children's House. It was built on the edge of the campus of Tuskegee Institute College, and the school was built for the children of the faculty of the Tuskegee Institute. But Greenwood was the neighborhood that had most of the faculty there. So that meant when I went there, my stepmother's family lived in that area, so that's how I was able to live, to go to school at Chandler's Children's House. And it was nice, but it was strange for me to come out of that church school to go to a school where you had cooking and sewing and all of that, because that had not happened in the other school. Booker T. Washington had come to Tuskegee to set up a college for black students. And when he first started, the community mostly helped build that school because he grew vegetables, they had livestock, and the people in the community donated things. They even donated like eggs or anything, because the students there, they built the campus for students that could live there, and they had to have food and shelter, and they community people donated food, eggs, and he tells a tale about somebody coming in with 12 eggs, but he had a lot of people to help him. A lot of these organizations, our community back east donated money, helped him to build that school. And later on, Mrs. Roosevelt came to that school to see what was going on. It was one of the greatest colleges, and as far as I'm concerned, it still is. It is not a institute particular school now, it's a university. It has great students from all over the world, especially the Asian and African countries, because they have a good engineering class and they have a good veterinary medicine, and they're still very popular at this time. And when you left Tuskegee Institute, you were considered well educated. Now, I went there in the 7th grade. When I was going to Chandler's Children's House, at the end of that school term, I was promoted to the 8th grade. And at that point, I went to Birmingham, Alabama, and I went to the Lincoln Junior High School. I was living with my father and my aunt at that time. And I had somehow misplaced my report card, and I didn't have one. So I was telling the teacher, the principal, where I had been going to school and everything. And she was looking kind of funny because she didn't know what to do with me. But when I named who my principal was, she knew that I had gone to this school, and right away she just accepted me. Because coming from the Chandler's Children's House, you were well trained if you went through that school. At that 8th grade, when I was going to Lincoln, I was living with my father and his sister, and he was working in the coal mine. She was doing domestic work, but she took complete responsibility for me, clothes, everything, and she would give me her good coat because my coat was not sufficient for school, and I just felt bad because she gave it to me, but then I was glad to have a good coat. Living with my aunt and my father for first time in quite a time, I really enjoyed it. The kids were friendly, the school was friendly, and I was able to relax and feel more comfortable that year because of the way the school was. My aunt left Birmingham because the jobs had started opening up in Akron, Ohio, at factories, and they were able to get good jobs. So she went to Akron, Ohio. And the next year, I would have to go to school. My birth mother lived in Cleveland, Ohio. So I went to Cleveland, Ohio in the 9th grade. I was 13 years old. And I lived with my birth mother for 1 year. And it was nice going to Kennard Junior High School. After being in Cleveland, Ohio for 1 year in 9th grade with my birth mother, when school was out, I was promoted to the 10th grade. I went back to Alabama with my grandparents, and when it's time for school again, there was no school still close to where my grandparents lived. At least there was not a bus that came close to where they lived. At that time, my father was living alone during the week. His wife was teaching in another county. So he and I were together during the week. And he was still working in the mine at that time. And I had to cook for him. I washed his clothes. And Birmingham was a coal mining town. And when I would hang the clothes out, sometimes they were about as dirty as they were when I hung them up. But I didn't know what to do. So I had to rewash them. So that lasted for 1 year. Each summer I went back to my grandparents. Whatever was to be done on the farm, because at this point it was, I guess I was more interested in doing what I was supposed to do, because at that point they owned their own farm, but they were still farming and there was not a lot of money around, so we still had to raise what we ate, and it was still the farming thing where you pick cotton and peas, whatever needed to be done around there. But I didn't mind it as long as I was there. But when school started again, there was a problem again. So my father and I stayed together. He decided to leave at the end of the 10th grade. He decided to leave and go farm after my grandfather had the property. And that meant that I had to stay with someone else. And that's when I lived with a family friend for that next year. Parker High, at that time, was called Parker Industrial High School. And when you graduated from that school, you were supposed to be able to get a job. You should be trained for something. They had anything from home nursing, they had typing, they had laundry, and they did have a music shop. They had wood shop. And I took home nursing because the war was going on at that time, and we were trained to think that the war was going to come to us in a minute. We were fingerprinted at that school, and I took my little nursing thing serious because we were told the Japanese were coming over in a minute and that we should be able to help take care of people who got injured. And that's, we were very serious with that. So I took my home nursing class, and at the end of that class and at the end, when we graduated, I was supposed to be able to work as a practical nurse, but I never did work as a practical nurse. When I finished high school in 1945, I didn't think anyone would be coming to my graduation because my father was still down on the farm and my grandparents were. But when they came to the school, the day of graduation, I was so happy to see my grandparents, and they had worked so hard to try to see that I finished high school, and I just enjoyed it. I almost cried when I saw them because I didn't think anyone was coming. And they came in, and someone had dressed my grandmother up so pretty, and they had combed her hair all pretty, and he had on his suit, and I was just so very happy to be able to have them see me graduate. At that time, I was the first person in the house to graduate from high school.
You better start moving. And feel the music, get your groove on, and let it
come the morning, oh, I'll be gone. Pouring rain, oh, I hear that train. There she comes. Won't you get on? Won't you get on board?
jumping all in the dishes and things. They be throwing rocks at us. So one time we decided, okay, we're on the ground where all the rocks are. So it got when the bus started coming back, we started throwing rocks at them. Told their parents, and they had my grandfather. He had asking us did we throw rocks at the bus. We said, yeah, they threw rocks at us, so we threw some rocks at them. He said, well, yeah, I have to stop. Well, of course, they stopped too. They started first. They were throwing rocks at us, and we were jumping all in the ditches and things, getting away from the rocks. So we started having rocks. We was out there where all the rocks was. When we were walking from school in the afternoon, we did not have buses for black kids in those days. Although the white school was closer, we did not have a bus, so we walked.